Dylan Wang's scene with Bai Lu just days after breakup with Shen Yue. The entertainment world has been rocked yet again. Just when fans thought the dust had barely settled from Dylan Wang's shocking breakup with Shinyu, a new storm has already begun to brew. Photos and videos have surfaced showing Dylan in the company of Bai Lu, the very woman whose name has been tangled in his whirlwind of love stories before. And this time, the scenes were so intense, so unexpected, that fans are struggling to process what it all really means. The timeline couldn't be sharper. Only days ago, Dylan and Shinyu's confirmed split left their supporters heartbroken. For weeks leading up to it, whispers of trouble had surrounded their relationship. Emotional distance during set shoots, Dylan's exhausted expressions, Shinyu's rare silence on social media, all became puzzle pieces painting a picture of a relationship teetering on the edge. Then came the confirmation. The love that fans had adored, defended, and celebrated was over. But no one, not even the most devoted gossip trackers, could have predicted what happened next. The sighting that shook everything. It was a quiet evening in Shanghai when a fan happened to capture the moment. Dylan Wang, dressed in a simple black hoodie and cap, was spotted entering a small restaurant tucked in an upscale district. Nothing unusual, until minutes later, Bai Lu walked in. The cameras clicked, videos rolled, and the world changed. Their meeting wasn't just casual. Eyewitnesses described an atmosphere thick with emotion. Dylan, visibly tired but focused, sat across from Bai Lu, who leaned in close, speaking softly, her hand occasionally brushing against his on the table. It wasn't the interaction of two co-stars casually catching up, one fan who was present confessed. It was intense, like something unresolved was being reignited. And that intensity is exactly why the entertainment world erupted overnight. The shadow of Shinyu. The timing of Dylan's appearance with Bai Lu couldn't have been worse. Shinyu's heartbreak had only just been confirmed. Just days earlier, she had been spotted leaving a cafe with swollen eyes, supported by close friends. Fans had speculated that she was trying to heal in private, while Dylan remained silent. Now, with these new images of Dylan and Bai Lu together, the whispers have turned into screams. Did Dylan move on too quickly? Was Bai Lu the reason behind the breakup? Or is this just another chapter in a saga where timing, fate, and emotions collide in the most explosive way possible? One thing is certain. Shinyu's shadow loomed over every glance Dylan and Bai Lu exchanged that night. The heated exchange. Sources revealed that the dinner was not entirely calm. At one point, Bai Lu was seen raising her voice slightly, her eyes flashing with frustration. Dylan responded with equal intensity, his hands clenched, his posture stiff. The scene reportedly drew the attention of other diners, who later confirmed that the two seemed to be having a deep, emotionally charged conversation. Bai Lu looked like she was demanding answers, one anonymous witness shared. Dylan kept shaking his head, looking down, but when he finally looked at her, his eyes were filled with tears. It was the kind of moment you never forget. The tension didn't last long, however. As quickly as the storm rose, it seemed to calm. Dylan reached out across the table, his hand finally resting on Bai Lu's. She didn't pull away. Instead, she leaned closer, her expression softening. For fans, the imagery was both heartbreaking and electrifying. Heartbreaking for Shinyu, whose absence from Dylan's life now seemed even more permanent. Electrifying because of the undeniable chemistry between Dylan and Bai Lu that seemed to reignite before everyone's eyes. A history that won't fade. This isn't the first time Dylan and Bai Lu's names have been entangled. From past rumors of secret meetups to their intense on-screen chemistry, the pair has always attracted speculation. But until now, neither had confirmed anything beyond professional respect. This latest sighting changes everything. In the world of celebrity storytelling, context is everything. Meeting days after a breakup is no coincidence. It raises questions, fuels theories, and most dangerously, reopens wounds. Was Bai Lu Dylan's source of comfort after Shinyu? Or had their connection been simmering long before, waiting for the moment to surface? Fans react in chaos. The internet exploded within minutes of the photos going viral. Hashtags like hashtag Dylan and Bailu, hashtag Shen Yue deserves better, and hashtag love triangle drama trended across platforms. Fans split into factions, each passionately defending their perspective. Dylan owes Shinyu more respect than this. Days after breaking up? Seriously? One furious fan wrote. Others, however, had a different take. Maybe Bailu is the one he truly belongs with. Look at them. You can see the fire in their eyes. This isn't random. It's fate. The debate has spiraled into chaos, with supporters and critics clashing online, dissecting every detail of the dinner, from the way Dylan held his cup to the exact shade of Bailu's lipstick. Behind closed doors. Insiders close to Dylan have reportedly shared that the actor has been emotionally exhausted since the breakup with Shinyu. He hasn't been himself. He's been carrying so much, one friend revealed. Meeting Bailu wasn't about replacing Shinyu. It was about finding someone who could understand him in this storm. But whether that explanation is enough for the public is another question. Behind the glamour, the flashing cameras, and the hashtags lies a truth only Dylan, Shinyu, and Bailu know. And that truth, tangled with love, loss, and longing, may take years to fully unravel. A night that changed everything. As the night drew to an end, Dylan and Bailu reportedly left the restaurant together. Photographers caught the moment Dylan placed his jacket over Bailu's shoulders as they walked into the night. No words, just a gesture that spoke volumes. It was tender. It was intimate. And it was the final spark that set the internet ablaze. What comes next? The entertainment world waits, with bated breath. Will Dylan address the rumors? Will Shen Yue break her silence? And most importantly, will Bailu finally reveal where she stands in this storm of love and heartbreak? One thing is undeniable. Dylan Wang, Shinyu, and Bailu are now locked in a love story that feels bigger than any drama they've acted in. A story filled with passion, pain, betrayal, and tenderness. A story the world cannot stop watching. And with every new scene, the stakes rise higher. Because sometimes, the most dramatic scripts aren't written by directors. They're written by life itself. Dylan Wang and Bailu's secret dinner, the night that left everyone speechless. The first photos of Dylan Wang and Bailu together had already sent shockwaves across the industry. But what the cameras only partially captured was a dinner filled with fire, raw emotions, and a clash of unspoken truths that fans are still struggling to comprehend. What really happened behind those restaurant doors? Eyewitness accounts and insider whispers have now painted a picture that feels less like a casual meeting and more like a pivotal turning point in their tangled story. A tense beginning. When Dylan entered the restaurant first, his body language spoke volumes. Eyewitnesses noted that he seemed restless, repeatedly glancing toward the door, adjusting the brim of his cap as if trying to shield himself from recognition. Minutes later, Bailu arrived, slipping in quietly but with a purposeful stride. For a brief moment, it almost seemed rehearsed, like two characters walking into the opening act of a play no one was prepared for. But the tension was immediate. Instead of warm greetings, both exchanged stiff nods before sitting. Their initial silence was so heavy that even nearby diners admitted they could feel the weight of it. It wasn't two friends catching up. It was two people with unfinished business. The first clash. The conversation began quietly, but within minutes, voices rose. One diner described Bailu as leaning forward, her tone sharp. She wasn't smiling. She was demanding clarity. She wanted answers. Her hands were gripping the table so tightly her knuckles turned white. Dylan, on the other hand, seemed to be holding himself back. His posture was rigid, his jaw tight, but his eyes betrayed conflict. He kept shaking his head. The witness continued. It was like he wanted to explain, but couldn't find the words. What could drive two people, once rumored to share undeniable chemistry, to such an explosive exchange? Many believe the shadow of Shinyu lingered between them. Shinyu's name surfaces. It didn't take long before Shinyu became part of the conversation. According to whispers, Bailu confronted Dylan about the timing of their meeting, questioning whether he truly respected Shenyu's feelings. Dylan reportedly responded with visible frustration, his voice rising enough for nearby tables to catch fragments of his words. "You think I don't care? You think this is easy for me?" The mention of Shinyu's name shifted the mood instantly. Bai Lu's eyes softened, but not enough to extinguish the storm building between them. She reminded Dylan that the world was watching, that his every move would be dissected and tied back to Shinyu. Her frustration wasn't just personal, it was about the inevitable firestorm they were stepping into. Tears at the table. Then came the moment that silenced everyone. Dylan, who had held himself together for most of the evening, suddenly broke. Eyewitnesses described his eyes filling with tears, his voice trembling as he finally spoke in a tone that was more vulnerable than angry. He wasn't yelling anymore, one source shared. He was pleading. He kept saying, "I never meant to hurt her. I never wanted this." Bai Lu's demeanor shifted in that instant. Gone was the frustration, replaced by an almost protective tenderness. She reached across the table, her hand brushing against his, and this time, he didn't pull away. The gesture spoke louder than words. Cameras later caught that moment, the exact second Bai Lu leaned in, her hand resting on Dylan's, and it quickly became the most viral image of the night. The restaurant falls silent. By then, the atmosphere inside the restaurant had completely changed. Other diners, who had initially whispered among themselves, now sat in silence, watching what felt like an unscripted drama play out live. Some described it as gut-wrenching, others as strangely intimate. It was like they forgot anyone else was there, another witness revealed. Their world shrank to just the two of them, the pain, the history, the connection. The softening. After the tears came a softer tone. Bai Lu leaned in closer, her voice low and soothing, while Dylan finally began to open up. Though no one could catch every word, fragments suggested confessions, apologies, and the acknowledgement of how complicated everything had become. He said something about not being able to choose his heart, a diner claimed. And she said something like, "But the world will never understand." It felt like they were caught between what they wanted and what was expected of them. The final gesture. As the dinner drew to an end, the storm seemed to have calmed into something bittersweet. Dylan, perhaps realizing the gravity of the night, stood up first. He slipped off his jacket and placed it over Bai Lu's shoulders, a quiet but intimate gesture that instantly reignited the media frenzy once the photos surfaced. Bai Lu didn't resist. She accepted the jacket, her expression unreadable, torn between conflict and care. The two left the restaurant together, not speaking, but walking close enough that the space between them felt fragile, as though the wrong move could break them both. The aftermath. In the days that followed, the internet has been ablaze with theories. Some insist Dylan and Bai Lu are on the verge of a relationship, while others believe the dinner was simply an emotional confrontation between two people caught in a web bigger than themselves. Shen Yu's silence remains deafening. Fans wait for her response, but so far, she has chosen to stay out of the storm. Still, her presence lingers in every headline, every photo, and every heated debate online. What the night really meant. Perhaps the truth is this: the dinner wasn't about moving on or starting over. It was about closure, confrontation, and the collision of past emotions that never fully died. Dylan and Bai Lu may not have intended to spark chaos, but in that moment, under the dim lights of a Shanghai restaurant, they reminded the world of one undeniable fact: some stories refuse to end quietly. Because in the world of Dylan Wang, Shinyu, and Bai Lu, love isn't just romance. It's war. It's heartbreak, it's healing, and it's the kind of drama that no scriptwriter could ever invent. And if that night was any sign, the story is far from over.